people, welcome back to the Arsenal podcast, and of course thank you for joining me once again for the last video of the day. I thought we'll be doing a Premier League video on a daily basis, but it's really becoming hard. Arsenal news is is just flooding all over, so when the news gets less, we'll do a Premier League video. But anyway, starting with the COVID-19 update, Kieran Tierney doesn't have coronavirus. I want to make this very clear. Kieran Tierney doesn't have coronavirus. He tested negative, but he is suspected to be one of the players that were in close contact with another player who tested positive with the Scotland international team. That is the update. So we'll be talking about that, and then the player of the month at Arsenal. I want to read for you the club statement, Arsenal's official club statement about Kieran Tierney's position and situation, so that you guys can be well informed about what's going on, because the player doesn't have coronavirus, although he's going to be forced to quarantine or self-isolate himself for 14 days, which may mean he might miss the clash against Manchester City. That is bad news. That is big bad news ahead of Manchester City. He's the best and only left back we have. Now I know some of you are going to say, Kosi, what are you talking about? We have Sid Kolasinac, but I disregard. I don't know what to, which word to use, but I do not count Sid Kolasinac as one of my players at Arsenal. He's an absolute beast mode. An absolute beast mode. You can never use him. Sid Kolasinac is an absolute average punk. Anyway, according to Arsenal, they are saying the Scottish FA have today announced that Southampton player Stuart Armstrong has returned a positive test for COVID-19 while on international duty with Scotland's men's national team. With the announcement, the SFA continued that all the other members of the squad have returned negative result. You get me? You get me very well. With the announcement, within the announcement actually, all the other members of the squad have negative results. However, the Lothian Health Protection team in Scotland have identified 2 players and 2 members of the backroom staff as close contacts. As a consequence, our defender Kieran Tierney, or Kieran Tierney, depending on how you pronounce it, and Celtic player Ryan Christie, along with one physiotherapist and one measure, will have been advised they will require to self-isolate for 14 days as of yesterday. Now, guys, this is the update. This is the truth. The player doesn't have COVID-19. He's negative, but he has been advised, along with 3 other Scottish comrades, to self-isolate because they're being identified as people in close contact with Armstrong, the player who is COVID-19 positive. And this is quite interesting because when you listen from what Kieran Tierney says, he says, I'm so disappointed and frustrated to be in this situation. I've adhered to all the regulations and made sure I was socially distancing from my teammates in the hotel. I have also tested negative. I know Arsenal and the SFA are in SFA is the Scotland Football Association, and now in discussions with the Scottish authorities to gain a further understanding. So it's two-way. I don't wanna blame the Scottish and it's FA and so on, but look at it. Kieran Tierney, along with other team members, have tested negative, and Kieran Tierney has to self-isolate for 14 days. Why don't you then self-isolate, the whole team? This is becoming like VAR. This is becoming like VAR. It works with some, players. It doesn't work with others. Because, if it's a 25-man squad and one of them tests positive, we know that COVID-19 symptoms and then, all these techniques and so on, it might take some time. Symptoms might take some time, and even if you go for a test today, tomorrow you might go for for the same test, which you found negative, and then you return positive. So probably if it's for the betterment of all players, it should be that all players should go for quarantine or should go for self-isolation for 14 days, we would understand that. And maybe the games that Scotland is going to play should be put to halt as well. But just saying that Kieran Tierney, alongside Christie, should go into quarantine or for self-isolation, and the other team is going forward, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. He's negative, and he says he followed all the rules. There is no report from Scotland that says that the player broke the rules. This has been the case with with England, Phil Foden, and then all those kind of players that the Greenwoods, playing around with the COVID-19 SOPs and so on. But Kieran Tierney has not done that. He's negative, and then some big man puts up his a statement that he's gonna miss out. Does it make any sense for me? And it doesn't. It doesn't. Quarantine the whole squad. Quarantine the whole Scottish squad. We will understand. We'll understand because our players are not any special. But you're not going to call our players any special by announcing them, by taking them to self-isolation when they're negative. It doesn't make sense. And it's really interesting that the hospital said the player was in close contact with Armstrong. Kieran Tierney was in close contact with Armstrong after checking the results. I mean, I really can't get it. I really can't get it. But the good thing is, like us and the Scottish Association are trying to talk about it and see how the player can be helped and how we can be helped as well, because we really cannot play without Kieran Tierney against Manchester City, against that whole lot of games that's coming up. We just can't play without Kieran Tierney. Better be God help us that he is not positive, that he stays negative. And the truth is, guys, if you think about this whole corona thing, it's really affecting football. We are one of the clubs that were really affected, because almost 25% of our revenue in the past seasons has been coming from match days, fans, TV, all those things. And you see how we have been struggling so much at the mercy of Stan Kroenke to get in one player. By the way, Stan Kroenke bought us, Thomas Partey. We'll be talking about that in a full video. But so I think this kind of COVID-19 thing is really killing us. It's really killing football. First and foremost, fans are out. Actually, football is out. Suspended. 14 days, 15, 16, 30. Football comes back, no fans. A new season starts, no fans. When we anticipate fans to come back, players are getting sick. Probably you guys have heard of what happened with with the Genoa team and so on. Almost 9 players sick, COVID-19. It really does it. It really bothers me. It really bothers me, and I ask myself, when is COVID-19 going to just end? Because I'm tired. I'm sick and tired. It's really killing football. I just can't cope up with COVID-19 and VAR. I would rather have one. Otherwise, fans are just going to wake up and one day and we die. Trust me. Almost a penalty per game in VAR, and then players getting COVID-19. And it's really funny. It's really funny. We have been having transfers, right? Been having transfers. Why don't we close the international calendar? Because at least in UK, that clubs in the Premier League, you can set the SOPs. You set SOPs for championship clubs and things like that. Then why don't we close the international calendar? I'm just thinking about it. Because even our players won't get injured anyway. But anyway, that's the update. The player is okay. He doesn't have coronavirus, but the problem is if it stays the way it is, he's going to miss out 14 days of action. That means he will miss out on the games of Scotland for 7 days, and then in the next 7 days he will miss out on the Arsenal games, probably the Manchester City game. A hard game a game where we need him more. A game where we need him more. Trust me. But anyway, nothing to do there. Nothing to do. So your September player of the month, you have to select who is your September player of the month here according to the Arsenal website. And here they're saying it's time for you to vote your September player of the month. The contestants are here. You have Alexander Lacazette, who has had a very good, fantastic start to the season. What a header against West Ham. Big credit. What a header against West Ham. But of course, he scored against Fulham as well. He scored against Liverpool. 3 goals in the first 3 games he started this season. He didn't start against Sheffield United, so he didn't score. Yeah, he qualifies to be on the panel. The second player who I think must win it is Gabriel Magalhaes. How do I vote here? I'm not. My website is not really showing me how to vote. I should do this. I should vote for Gabriel. Everybody on the Arsenal podcast, let's vote for Gabriel. Let's vote for Gabriel. So Gabriel Magalhaes, another player who has started the season so well. New signing from Lille Metropole. All of us thought Mikel Arteta wouldn't start him, wouldn't rush him into the season. It was it was different. He rushed him into the season, and he is doing so well. So that's the second player in contention. And the third player is Heki Bellerin. Why? Because of the 2 assists he made against Sheffield. I'm not really sure, but he's also there. And Bukayo Saka. Now I think Saka deserves to be on the panel, though what he has done is not comparable with Gabriel. So I think it's an open book. It's an open book vote. It's gonna be won by Gabriel Magalhaes. I thought Willian would appear here. That's the truth. I thought Willian would appear here because he hasn't had a bad season. If you're gonna be honest, he hasn't had a bad season. Willian Borges de Silva so far. He has those 3 assists against Fulham, and he has had very good games in the past. In the past starts against Arsenal. Sorry for Arsenal. I would call him on the panel instead of calling Hector Bellerin. I would call Willian in this panel. 4 contenders. You have Bukayo Saka, Willian, Lacazette with 3 goals, and then Gabriel Magalhaes. The obvious winner. But Bellerin, this vetting process is not fair. It's not fair enough. Willian must be one of the players in that, on that panel. One of those players, player of the month. You can't forget Willian. He's a new signing, not in the league, but at the side. Adding something, benching Pepe, and then you tell me he's not among the top 4 players of September. Jesus, they are just kidding me. They are just kidding me. But anyway, I think I'm going to vote for Gabriel Magalhaes. If Bukayo Saka comes back this month, October, I'll vote for him. But I'm going to vote for Gabriel Magalhaes. Of course, guys, you know what he has done. You know what he has done for Arsenal. You know what he has done for Arsenal. Almost everything. Scoring on his debut. How many defenders do that? How many defenders do that? A goal on his debut, winning aerial duels, winning ground duels at Arsenal, just correcting that handicapped defense we had last season. Making us forget how abysmal that defense was last season. Absolutely brilliant player. Absolutely gorgeous play from Gabriel Magalhaes. I'll give him the vote. Like I said, there is a lot of news around Arsenal. William Saliba is also set to leave. I will be talking about that in the morning in detail. But he's going to leave for the championship. It might be Brighton. That's what is in the news, in the rumors. It might be Brighton that are going to take him on. So it's not a good decision. It's not a good decision, but probably, what can we say? It's the decision from the team. And if you ask me, why is William Saliba leaving out? Maybe you have so many defenders. and he's the best player that you can move on maybe. But Rob Holding was, if anyway, we have to have the English numbers in the in the squad. So I think Saliba is going to be leaving the club on loan, and he might come back next season. Have a blessed stay on the channel. I'll talk about all the transfer news and everything about Arsenal tomorrow in the morning. Right now, I gotta sign out.